Coach, what was the big difference off the North Carolina Duke game traveling to Syracuse? What didn't travel up there with you guys?
Yeah, I thought the two things mainly didn't travel: our ball screen defense and our zone offense. I thought that we tried in terms of our zone offense to get the ball to the right places. I thought we got some pretty good looks at times, and we just didn't knock them down. Obviously, the dome was a unique place to shoot the ball. But in addition to that, I would say just the enthusiasm and the fight that we showed against Carolina and Duke wasn't necessarily there as well. So execution-wise, I would say the ball screen defense really let us down, led to some easy baskets to start the game, and pretty much carried on throughout the game. And our inability to make shots and keep up with their explosive offense.
Like I know it's been like one practice, I guess, but having Malik back, did you feel like he at least came back with the approach you wanted him to?
Yeah, I thought he had a good practice yesterday. I thought he had great energy. He's obviously a difference maker for us, just in terms of his experience and his ability to communicate and help guys on both ends of the floor. And so we certainly missed that, and it's good to have that back, and it's good to have him back, and hopefully we can put good days together going forward.
When you bring someone back, you always kind of, I don't know, if, as a coach, do you worry about the other guys? Do you talk? I mean, obviously, you guys have talked this through as a team. How did the other guys respond to him? And he is a captain, so I think they hold him in high regard.
No, I think that the guys were excited to have him back. Obviously, we all knew that Sunday was an unfortunate day, but again, a culmination of some things that have been going on, and I think the guys were just genuinely happy to have him back and to put that behind us.
Mike, you mentioned on the coaches call yesterday that despite the Syracuse game being what it was, that guys were doing a pretty good job of not getting down and keeping their heads held high. But at the same time, it's got to be reaching to a point where you guys are – Jalen kind of mentioned this before that game, that getting kind of desperate to get a win at this point.
Yeah, and it's funny. I used that quote of his to try to rally us against Syracuse. Obviously, didn't work well, but there is a sense of desperation that I want these guys to play with, but it has to manifest itself in certain moments, and it didn't on Saturday. It did, however, I thought, against Duke and Carolina, and we're a good enough team to beat Duke, Carolina, Syracuse on a better day. But at some point, we have to string good possessions together defensively and offensively and handle a punch and not fall apart and stay together. And, it's a lot of little things that go into it that we haven't quite gotten over the hump with, but we're obviously very, very much so still invested in trying to figure that out and win some games down the stretch starting tomorrow.
Mike, the second half against Notre Dame, the first time you guys played them, they made a lot of shots, but they were wide open when they took those shots. What's the biggest thing that has to change from that game to this one?
Yeah, obviously we got to be able to guard the three-point line. We can't give Dane Goodwin, Nate Lashevsky, Prentice Hub, their whole team, open threes. Everybody but Paul Atkinson shoots threes. They play 7 guys. Mike Bray doesn't even know who the 8th guy is. We got to be able to guard the three-point line. We got to be able to take away rhythm threes. Easier said than done because they are sharpest attack when it comes to the fluidity and the understanding of how they want to play on offense.
Any update on Rose and his recovery?
Rose will practice contact today for the first time in a little over a week. It's the longest concussion that I've been around, but he took a pretty good hit. And, excuse me, for a kid that's never had a concussion, it probably scared him a little bit. And he struggled to get out of concussion protocol, so obviously we wanted to be safe and make sure that he was in a place where he felt comfortable first before having him back. So he had a non-contact practice yesterday. Obviously he was exhausted, so he's not in great shape right now. He'll practice today. Hopefully he can get through it. I don't expect him to play very much tomorrow just because he hasn't had enough reps.
Mike, after the Syracuse game, you mentioned that you were going to have this week at some point a conversation with JJ and his family. Has that taken place just yet?
Yeah, we've had some conversations. First of all, let me just say this about JJ. Because I've seen and heard some things out there. JJ is a phenomenal kid, okay? He's been a high-character kid, and he's done nothing but the right thing since he's been here. For a kid that played last year and didn't play this year, and largely because of that was JJ had a hamstring injury, okay, coming out of the preseason, going into the season. And he would tell you that really set him back. Set him back physically, where he wasn't able to be himself, but it also gave other guys, when he was out, an opportunity to surpass him. And so at the 4 and the 5 spot, it's a pretty full deck. and the injury didn't help J.J. J.J. didn't necessarily help himself at times throughout this season in terms of when he did get healthy to find a way to get back in front of those guys. So it's been a long, hard road for that kid. But he's a sophomore in college. I believe he's 19 years old. He has had a rough go at it, but he's hung in there. He comes into practice every day with his head high. He doesn't pout. He doesn't mope. He hasn't been a problem for our staff. Anybody that says that is absolutely wrong, and that's ridiculous. We want what's best for JJ going forward, and we'll figure that out as a family.
A loss like Syracuse can happen, but when it happens in the midst of everything else you guys have been going through, do you worry anymore about how they react? Do you pay close attention to the way they respond in practice, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, again, rough place, different game. I would like to think that, our message yesterday was like, hey, Syracuse is different. They're a good team. They're polished offensively. They made a lot of shots. We didn't. We won't see their zone on Wednesday, so there's no excuses for us to, struggle as much as we did offensively. Yesterday was a spirited practice. Today we plan on having an even better practice and really getting prepared for a really good Notre Dame team that we know we can beat.
You got a lot of good looks the last time you played Notre Dame for about 30 minutes. How do you replicate that going up to South Bend?
Yeah, it's a different game. You know what I mean? They're playing extremely well, by the way. I don't want to take anything away from Notre Dame. Like, they're phenomenal, obviously well coached, and they have great leadership. And they'll watch the tape and figure out what they didn't do well, even though they won. And they'll have some adjustments for us that we're going to have to be able to respond to, and no different on our end. We got to figure out a way to take away the threes, the rhythm threes in particular. Atkinson has been playing awesome. He's a force down low that's really stepped up his level of play over the last few weeks. They're tough to deal with. They don't play a lot of guys, but they get a lot out of the guys that they play. So we have to be able to guard the ball, keep the ball in front, stay out of rotation as much as we can so that we don't give up rhythm threes, and then we got to contain Atkinson inside.
Do you think playing a team like Syracuse kind of helps in the game plan for Notre Dame, knowing you're facing another team that's got a lot of shooters and maybe you're more keen to know what to look for?
Yeah, it's definitely a talking point for our staff. We didn't do a good job guarding Syracuse's shooters. Again, that large in part because of our ball screen defense. That has to be much better. Notre Dame is a ball screen-centric team. We have to be able to guard their actions better. And again, when we are in rotation, we have to rotate with more urgency, with a high hand. We have to dissuade some of these rhythm threes. Obviously, they can't get second shots because their first shot is so hard to defend as it is. But, without a doubt, a big emphasis going into Syracuse was, guarding Boeheim, guarding Girard and Cole Schweider and not allowing them through. And we didn't do that. So we have to be able to do our job at the end of the day.
I've had NBA players say the hardest thing to do in basketball, in their mind, is close hard, but also not leave yourself vulnerable to the drive. How much do you? How do you teach it, and how good are you guys at doing it?
Clearly not as good as we need to be. Our defense, quite honestly, has been atrocious over the last 9 games, and I let our guys know that. There's no excuse for it. First 14 games, we were really defending at a high level. In the last 9 games, in particular the last 2 games, we give up 90 points or more. Just can't happen. That's a skill. Like, guys literally get paid millions of dollars to be able to do that. They call them 3-and-D guys a lot of times. Make a corner 3, close out, contest, keep the ball in front. They pay guys millions of dollars to be able to do that. So it's not easy. But it's something that has to happen if you're going to win. And we have to do a better job of running guys off the 3-point line without leaving our feet and at least being able to stay in the play if they put the ball down.
What's your approach in 5-game losing streak, message to the team to try to motivate them to not get down and try to go win the next one and not make it a 6-game?
Not a crazy message. We want to win. Guys want to win. Guys are frustrated that we aren't winning. So the message is let's go win. Let's go play hard. Let's go play together. Let's sacrifice. Let's do whatever it takes. We come back. We watch the ball screen defensive edit. There was, unfortunately not a lot of good clips in there, not any, in fact. And your hope is that you learn from it and you figure out, you get a better understanding of what went wrong and how we needed to take away that action. And we've done the same thing to start yesterday. We'll do it again today in practice and in film this evening. And at that point, once you understand the game plan, again, the job then becomes we have to be accountable to what it is that we're trying to do. And guys, when you do mess it up, we got to fix it. We can't continue to have, it can't become a snowball effect, right? Where guys are just continuously making the same mistake over and over again. And then it's my job as the head coach and our staff's job to identify the guys that can't get the job done, and they got to watch until they can figure it out.
Anything else? Great. Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thank you.